Reverend Sally Dries, or Pastor Sally, or to me just Sally, a very, very dear and close friend and colleague, and we met in a clergy support group. She passed away on January 25th. So I really miss Sally, but what I mostly treasure about her is she was so much at peace, centered in herself. And I had always the impression a whirlwind could go out around her, and people flying off the handle, and just everything going wrong. And Sally would still be relaxed in her chair. No matter what came her way, there was a deep peace in her. And I'd really, really appreciated that about her. And one of her favorite practices was in the summer to go to the beach with several of her friends. And my sense always of Sally was not just she went to the beach, but the beach was in her. And she brought that beach back and was in the beach, and the beach in her wherever she was. So just that beautiful, delightful, relaxed, not worrying and knowing that God is in charge, and she had not to fix it all or be in charge of everything. So I treasure that about Sally, and that will stay with me always. The other piece, also from a colleague, Amelia Price, she serves the other St. Paul's of St. Paul's UCC in Selinsgrove. That's in Verdilla, on Verdilla Road. And Amelia mentioned a mentor telling here, Amelia, please remember, there is always more need in the world than there is you. So where and how can we and you and all of us find that healthy balance in between overdoing it and stretching ourselves thin and kind of losing ourselves in the whole process versus a little bit of Sally energy with us? And Sally had that experience in her life as well. So she had been in ministry for like 20 years or so. And she didn't notice, because it crept in slowly, where she was kind of burning out and felt like, I can't do this anymore. So ever since Sally, at every ecclesiastical council, that's this meeting where clergy, before you get ordained, it's like you present a paper and ask questions and are asked questions. And Sally always had this question that was unique to her. How will you care for yourself? Where and how do you make room and space for God to care for you? And that can be a hobby, that can be playing golf, that can be just something totally different than what strains on you. Now, we also know that it's hard to find that time of refreshment and renewal when you're a parent raising 3 children. I know there are these seasons in our lives where we feel like, do we really get a break? But then there come other seasons where we try to find the balance in it. And the story that Jesus lifts up to us, not just from today, is the story of the 2 sisters, Mary and Martha. Mary embodied that quiet center, that groundedness. And Martha was the one who got things done, who was doing things and accomplishing. And to me, the message is not like, never be like Martha or never be like Mary. I think we have a Mary and a Martha part in us. And if we're too Martha, maybe we need to connect more to the Mary part in us. And if we're always and only Mary, nothing gets done. So, yes, it means getting up and getting things done as well. Now, the negative example from whom we can also learn is Elijah. And as I mentioned before, Elijah was worn out, burned out. He was done. Actually, he was to the place where he was suicidal. He went into the wilderness. He went to die. He said, Lord, I'm done. Take my soul, take my heart. I'm giving up. I surrender. And what comes then to him is this messenger that feeds him. So someone coming to nurture him back to life. And when he goes to the mountain, he doesn't discover God in the storm, the wind, or the earthquake. And don't we all have these storm experiences or the earthquake when we feel like we're not on solid ground anymore, feels like my world is falling apart. I don't know what else to do. We all have those experiences. And living through them and making it through them is like part of going through them to open up through them to the presence of God in the quiet, I love in the whisper, or in the breath of life. So paying attention to your breath, the breath of God, the Spirit of God in you, can help with that. And I think that's the key message that Jesus gives us in the Matthew passage, where Jesus says, come to me when you worry, when you're heavy laden, when you feel like it's just too much. Come and bring it to me. Surrender it, hand it over. And we have always, all of us have been at a place where we feel like this is too much. So what do we do with that? Do we come, recognize it and say, this is more than I can handle, and just like in AA, handing over and saying like, yeah. And when Jesus talks about the yoke, pick up my yoke, pick up your yoke, for it is easy. The actual literal translation in Greek means it's well-fitting. And you know what the yoke is about? The yoke is to have two animals, either two mules or two oxen or whatever you have, to be yoked together. So the yoke is for two animals together. And the understanding of this passage is when we're in the yoke with Jesus. We're not walking alone, but we're walking at the pace and with the pace of Jesus. And we pace ourselves as well. It says in the scriptures in the Bible, actually, that Jesus needed time away. That the disciples were hunting him down and saying, there is so much going on, we really need you. And Jesus says, I need some time away too, to be with God, to be connected, to have my soul refreshed, renewed as well. So how do we do that very practically? What are some of the nuts and bolts? What can we do to sort some things out? And I think that's the message that Paul gives us in the Romans passage. Paul says, you know what? Bring your ordinary life, put it in the presence of God, and let God help you sort it out. So to me, that means taking a very honest look at your to-do list, at your calendar, and think of, what are my core values and priorities? What really matters to me and what matters to God? So sorting things out, because so much can get lost in the whirlwind. So just what are the three most important things to you and consider your own soul in the process too. What brings you joy? What refreshes your spirit? What renews you? What are those things? And if you have them in front of you, when you add things to your calendar, whatever, remember them. The second thing, and I have a hard time on this, the art of saying no, learning the art of saying no. It's hard. It's hard for me. So instead of saying no, I started going toward, let me think about this. I'll get back to you. So not jumping in, but just taking a step back, thinking of. And then there are different ways of packaging the no. You're saying like, thank you so much for thinking about me. I appreciate that. Unfortunately, I cannot come at that time, but it's very kind of you. So it's kind of, the humanity in it. So think about saying no because you said yes to the priorities. It's not a no because you don't like the other person or you don't care. It's just a no to be with what matters to you and what matters to God and what matters to Jesus. So the no because you said yes to your values, to your priorities, to what really mattered. And I think the third thing for me is just to be aware life is a precious gift and to recognize the beauty and the wonder in the small things of everyday life. So instead of chasing and running and rushing, being here and now to recognize the small things. Like on the Isle of Kew, I walked yesterday back and forth. The small white snowdrops pushed out and they're blooming. Right now, it's like, wow. It's like, that did something to me. Just in the here and now, recognize the beauty, the preciousness, and live gratefully in that. I remember Sally very warmly. There was a peace in her that she exuded, where she was rooted in God and where small things could not unsettle her. How will you live more in tune with God?